In this game, where the stakes could not possibly be higher, the first dominoes have fallen.
Matthew Stafford is a Ram, Jared Goff is a Lion.
But this quarterback carousel will keep on spinning, and the questions will ensure a wild ride that lasts the entire offseason. The dominant piece, of course, is Deshaun Watson, who absolutely wants out of Houston. What is no mystery, however, is that last year, the Packers drafted Aaron Rodgers' replacement. All he did in response was have an MVP season. What will he make the team do now to keep him happy?
There's a lot of unknowns going into this offseason.
Carson Wentz won a power struggle with Doug Peterson, but it looks like the Eagles will still move him. Want more? What if Matt Ryan ends up in Indy? How about Kirk Cousins shipped to San Francisco? And then Jimmy G reunited with Bill Belichick in Foxborough. Then there are the legends. Not this one, but these. What will Drew do? The Saint star has talked of retirement. It's not yet official. Big Ben has a decision to make. Will he keep plugging away in Pittsburgh at a reduced rate, or will he walk away? And speaking of decisions, the Cowboys and Dak have tens of millions of reasons to make one. Then there is the draft, where Mel and McShay project as many as 5 quarterbacks in round 1. Buckle up, because if you thought a season ending with Brady and Mahomes in the Super Bowl was wild, you ain't seen nothing yet. This carousel has just barely begun to spin. So this is going to be a very interesting offseason. And Dan Graziano, let us start it with this. Shefty telling us the latest on Carson Wentz is to expect something to happen and expect it soon. What is the latest we're hearing out of Philadelphia?
Yeah, Greeny, it absolutely could happen soon if the Eagles get what they're looking for. Right now, they're asking for more than teams are willing to pay, and that will slow things down if that doesn't change. The date to watch is March 20th. That's when the Eagles have to pay Carson Wentz a $10 million roster bonus. Now, obviously, that becomes a deadline because if you're going to trade him, you don't want to pay that. You'd rather have the acquiring team do it. So that gives them some time to hold firm on their demands, which I'm told so far have been more than the interested teams have been willing to pay. But if they get a couple teams in it, and we've heard the Bears, we've heard the Colts, if they get a couple teams in it, then they can definitely start to drive that price up.
So this is fascinating, Marcus. Yesterday, someone made the point on this program that the Eagles are acting like they're trading Matthew Stafford, when in reality, Carson Wentz is a lot closer to the Jared Goff side of that trade than he is the Stafford side of that trade. Marcus, how do you look at it?
It's actually, it's crazy, man. Like, I'm thinking about how to word Carson Wentz's situation, or to think about it, because all I can think about is what happened in Philly after Doug Peterson was fired. Like, how did this become irreparable with ownership or whatever reason he wants to get away with the fan base or whatever? The bottom line is this: Carson Wentz has a lot of talent. We all know that. We all have seen Carson Wentz play at a very high level, and even at times lift his team above what they probably should be. We saw that, but we also saw this year. And this year was concerning not because of quarterback play. I think quarterbacks can be fixed. I watched Baker Mayfield get fixed this year with Kevin Stefanski. I've seen it transpire, and guys get better being in the right system. I'm worried about Carson Wentz managing a locker room and managing when things get hard. That's my concern. So if he gets traded, a team has to know he's willing to accept the bad times as well as the good times, and be able to cipher through that and still compete at a high level and play at a high level. That's what I want to see. It looks like it's done in Philly, obviously, with Graz and also Shefty reporting that. But I want to see Carson Wentz respond to adversity, because based on what I've seen so far this year, with everything that transpired in Philly, he did not do well at that. And I do not believe you can be successful in this league at the quarterback position if I have to question if you're mentally tough enough when things get hard.
Well, look, we started this by talking about all the intangibles that Brady brings, and now it feels like we're having the opposite conversation, and have been for a while. Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, listen, I disagree. I mean, not with Swagoo, but with whoever's talking about this, the Jared Goff part of this equation. I mean, I think Carson Wentz has played better than listen. Jared Goff was with one of the best offensive minds in our game right now in play calling and design to help him with a run game, offensive line, that kind of thing. Good defense, so he kind of had everything. In Philly, they had a good defense, but their line was decimated with injuries. Carson Wentz is running for his life. You just saw what Mahomes looked like getting that kind of pressure to the Super Bowl. How about if that's every week? And that was kind of what happened with Wentz this season. He was getting, and listen, he didn't play good. I'm not giving the guy an excuse card, but he played under some terrible circumstances. To act like he's not or the same as Jared Goff, I just don't buy that. I think he's on the upside of this trade, and I do think teams will get him back. Into Swagoo's point, you can rehab a quarterback. You don't need him to be the guy in the locker room if you've already got that maturity in the locker room. I think he's a guy you go to.
All right, we will keep an eye on this. I have to take a quick break here. We have much more as the team is going to get back to the same place again next year. What is that?
Well, they could extend his contract. I mean, he's signed through 2021. It's a fully guaranteed $25 million. If they do an extension, even just a one-year extension that would take him into his age 45 season, where he says he wants to be, they could save about, the way that Buccaneers do contracts with roster bonuses instead of signing bonuses, they could save about $7 million on this year's cap. And you're looking at, every dollar is going to count. Chris Godwin is a free agent. Shaquille Barrett is a free agent. Levante David is a free agent. They have work to do to keep this roster together. So I would not be surprised at all to see the Buccaneers extend Tom Brady's contract for cap purposes and potentially because he wants to be there more than the initial 2 years. Man, that Jeff Saturday story, though, the four guys the 4 touchdowns in the Super Bowl were scored by guys that Tom Brady made them sign, right? Fournette and Gronk and AB. But just not just we need to get this guy, but AB, we need to get this guy, and now I'm going to help sell it in the locker room so that it works. This guy's all in on that organization. It's not just some mercenary they went out and got.
And he has also been known to be involved in salary cap manipulation. I don't mean that in a negative way over all those years in New England. So keep a close eye for that in Tampa. So that's the winning side of Sunday. Now there's the other side and the other superstar quarterback in this game. And it was a night to forget for Patrick Mahomes. We'll go through all of the different ways. Finished the game 8 of 24 for 95 yards and a pick when he was under pressure. 1 of 12 for 4 yards when he was outside the pocket. According to our NFL Next Gen stats, he ran a total of 497 yards before his passes and sacks on Sunday. That is the most pre-throw, pre-sack yards by any quarterback in a game this year. And of course, he was pressured. It felt like every time he went back there, 29 pressures on the day on Patrick Mahomes.
I'm going to do whatever I can to kind of look at the film and try to find ways to get better. Obviously with our offense and the success that we've had, when teams see that the defensive plan that he had and how well it worked, they're obviously going to try to do the same thing. And so try to find ways to combat that and kind of the evolution of our offense where we're going to have to do better things and be more efficient.
So I think the initial feeling coming out of that game, and understandably, was, well, you can't blame Mahomes. He was under siege. He did everything he could possibly do. But then I had a conversation on the radio yesterday with Howie Long, and as the day went on, I started to get a sense, and Jeff Saturday picked up this thought. Maybe there were some things he and the Kansas City coaching staff could have done that might have changed the outcome, and they just wouldn't do it. What is it?
Yeah, they should have changed their game plan in the half. Like you saw them come out of half, Greeny, and all of a sudden they decide to run the ball, and they're effective runs, right? When you have 2 high safeties and they're playing 2-man a bunch underneath, they are forcing you to run the football. And it's like they wouldn't get out of their own way. And let me tell you, from high-producing offenses, I played on them my whole career. 14 years, we led the league or were close to being the top of the league in offense. When you come to the sidelines after kicking field goals or punts, the pressure you feel, Greeny, as you walk over there, there's no continuity, right? All of a sudden you start asking, hey man, were you open? What were you doing? The lines looking at each other. Hey, did you get your guy? Hey, is Patrick throwing the ball on time? Is he getting the ball out? Everybody asks those questions, and Mahomes actually said it in his press conference. I didn't get the ball out on time. I didn't know the routes receivers were going to run. The line didn't do a great job. All of those things could have been solved had they done what the defense was providing them. That's run the football and then you find rhythm in your offense. You bring that safety down. You make sure they can't stay too high like they did. But I felt like the Chiefs went in and were stubborn with their game plan. And ultimately that cost them because, listen, you played into the Buccaneers, into their hands, into their defensive scheme and thought process. Let the front four rush, let the 7 drop back, and then use the team speed to come down and smother them. But I'm just telling you, Greeny, like the pressure you put on yourself as an offense that has carried this football team for really 2 years, and all of a sudden nothing's working and everybody's pointing fingers, it becomes really difficult to dig yourself out of that hole.
You know, Marcus, and so it's an interesting thought because we talked all last week. You have to pick your poison with the Chiefs. Pick your poison. And then they just shut them down completely. And the answer, Jeff is telling us, and I want to hear your perspective as a defensive player, is take the check down, run the football, force the